G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of Decoding the Future Podcast. My name is Mahesh Krishnan, I'm your host, and today I have two very special guests with me, Victoria and Luke. Victoria from NetApp and Luke from NVIDIA. Both NVIDIA and NetApp have been partners with us for our AI test drive offering. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about how their products help with AI test drive. And I'm going to get both of you to introduce yourselves. Victoria, why don't you go first?
Sure. Very honored to be here. I'm Victoria Lam, Solution Architect from NetApp. I'm basically focusing more on the AI and storage as a service solutions, and very happy to be here to talk about any customer success story and AI solution counter-offered by NVIDIA and Fujitsu.
Great. Luke?
Hey mate, thanks very much for having me here today. My name's Luke Boyce. I'm in the Solution Architecture team at NVIDIA. And my specialty is more focusing on the platform software that help our shared customers operate these platforms at scale.
Perfect. Look, AI Test Drive is an offering that Fujitsu has been running for a while now. And one of the key things that we actually do is we set up all the infrastructure and the software and everything else that helps customer get on it and start running. I mean, like, we use the analogy of a test drive. So if you're buying a new car and you want to test it out, you want to take it for a spin, it's very similar. I mean, here, if you want to run your workloads, you basically take AI Test Drive, for a run and test it out, test out your AI workloads and everything else. And both NetApp and NVIDIA have been partners for this with us. And let me start by actually talking a little bit about your respective companies. I mean, I'll start with you, Luke. NVIDIA, started out, I think most people know NVIDIA originally as kind of like this company that built, graphics cards and GPUs, and people used to run games on them, right? And you transformed into more of an AI company, right? Can you talk a little bit about that journey itself?
Yeah, sure, mate. So, you're right. When I first joined NVIDIA around about 3 years ago, most people I spoke to knew us from our gaming heritage. But since the ChatGPT being the iPhone moment for AI, we're getting more commonly known. But NVIDIA has been working on AI as a problem for a long time, and it turns out the type of math that's used for video graphics meant that our GPUs had to be really, really good at parallel processing. Right. And it's that type of parallel processing capability that makes them very good for running AI models at scale as well.
So Luke, these GPUs originally ran in graphics cards, right, for games, as we spoke about, but they've now scaled immensely to be running on AI factories. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So these models, because they're processed on such large amounts of data, we generally can't do it efficiently on a single processor. So we need to scale out through model parallelism across multiple GPUs and multiple nodes in a cluster. And these clusters, as you mentioned, have got really quite large. So each time NVIDIA comes up with a new architecture, we build our reference to design internally and deploy a supercomputer at scale with tens of thousands of GPUs. And we fine-tune the way that operates, the software stack, the hardware, the networking, the storage that importantly comes in to these things to keep the GPUs fed. And then we make that available as a reference architecture like the NVIDIA Base Pod that you use in AI Test Drive to make that available to our customer base so that they don't have to come and solve some of these challenges themselves. They can just pick up these reference architectures and run with it.
Which is a nice segue. I mean, whenever we think about NVIDIA, we think about hardware, but there's a lot that you guys have built with things on the software side, on the platform side, like CUDA or Nemo and all that, right? So can you elaborate on that as well a little bit?
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. Back to these problems requiring parallel processing, that required a new way to be able to program applications to be able to make use of this computing capability that we've got. So it all started with CUDA back in the day, and ever since CUDA we've been building more and more higher level frameworks on top of CUDA to enable researchers to quickly pick up and start solving their problems. So we've got things like BioNemo for designing new drug proteins. We've got things like MONAI for medical imaging. And all of that software was made available kind of open source. But more recently, we've been productizing that to make it more consumable for enterprises so that it can be secure and operated in place close to where their data is.
Very impressive. Victoria, I'm going to start with you next. AI is all about data, right? So this is where you guys come in. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about your company's journey itself in this space?
Yeah, back in the days, NetApp is a NAS company, and we manage, network storage in a way. But forwarding in the time, nowadays we talk about AI solution, AI storage, in which going back to the basic, we're only talking about data management. So we, NetApp, as a storage company, provides an intelligent data infrastructure to make sure your data is secure in a scalable way, and at the same time to make sure whenever you want to access it, it is in a high performance way, such as in AI solution when we collaborate with NVIDIA. We make sure we have validate architecture platform there to make sure the customer use it in the right way. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure our customer data are safe in a secure way, and at the same time, whatever they want to choose, no matter it's on cloud, on premises, or might be in some sort of cheaper storage, such as S3 protocol storage, we are able to support.
So Victoria, in terms of AI, how does NetApp play a role in it?
Okay, like I said, AI is mainly from data. It originates from data. All about data analysis, no matter you're talking about training, inferencing, you have to be supported by data. And having a framework that stores everything in the same place, not silos, having easy access to the data is very important from a data science perspective. So that's why we need to build a unified data lake here to make sure no matter what types of data you're accessing, or for example, if you're talking about all types of sensors data, IoT data, or maybe data collected from different systems, you need to make sure there's somewhere that are saved securely and to be ready to be trained in the AI. So AI can be in very multiple perspectives. Let's say, for example, if you're talking about training of the models, you need to make sure they are right data here. So that's why we have to make sure no sensitive information, no personal data are being imported into your models for training. Because I know a lot of the companies concerned about your data security, whether your personal identifiers information are being imported into the data model and leading to some of the personal security issues, or might be some of the ethics issue. And so that's why we are trying to help customer in the AI space in multiple ways to make sure they have the right data in the right place, and make sure when they are doing the models training, everything are performed in a high performance way, and make sure they are happy with the way of accessing the data, and whether they want it in which place they want to access it.
We have a use case with Southwestern Sydney Local Health District and their Cedric platform. They had very strict guidelines in terms of data sovereignty and governance and everything else. And what we did was we took the AI test infrastructure to them, and all they needed to do was bring their models and their data, and they ran all their workloads in there. So that was a really good example.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good use case and customer reference case. Given this is only an AI test drive, the customer is already very happy with the result driven to them, because what the customer really wants is to train their own large language model, and at the same time to bring in their own AI model into our platform to make sure they works well and bring in desired result they want to do. And from a NetApp perspective, we're trying very hard to help them to make sure that, first of all, from a data sovereignty perspective, because they're local government, and from many enterprise perspective, they want to make sure that data is managed by themselves in their own data center to make sure it's not somewhere else, on the cloud or maybe in some other data center. So this is the flexibility that Fujitsu and NetApp and NVIDIA together can bring it as a total solution for them and deploy in their own data center, which is really makes the customer happy. And from a solution perspective, I would say, again, from a data scientist perspective, we need to make sure the training of the models, we are not having only one data scientist on the floor to train all the models to make sure everything works right. So we need to make sure like they have multiple copies, the versioning works well in their data, and the result will be as good when they're in the production, environment. So that's why NetApp have technology to make sure by creating flex clones to them and make sure they are all not interrupting each other and make sure the versioning works well. So that's why in a storage efficient way to give them more options to train their models and data. So that's why this customer actually loves our solution in a way, from a cost-effective perspective, and at the same time, from a technical perspective and from a compliance perspective, also fit is what they want.
Okay.
Yeah, if we go back to that earlier getting started question, NVIDIA has a lot of freely available resources like build.nvidia.com where you can go and play with our pre-canned inference runtimes and experiment against these APIs to build out different use cases. But for something like medical models in the clinical space, the data sovereignty again is really important. So we can't actually ask the customer to bring their own data to our test platforms that actually sit offshore. So that's where having the Fujitsu test drive experience in partnership with NVIDIA and NetApp is really important because it gives this safe space where people can come and experiment with their actual data. And in this case, it was quite novel in that you actually unracked the compute and took it to the customer and racked it on site. So not something that we would be able to do without the help of Fujitsu.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, any final takeaways for our listeners? Luke, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so if you head over to build.nvidia.com, that's where we host a lot of our inferencing and runtime and optimized models. So go there and have a play. And when it ignites your imagination, come back to us via Fujitsu and talk to us about running an on-prem POC with your own data.
Great. Anything from you?
If you got any AI use cases, if you got anything that you are struggling around where to start, or might be from a cost perspective, you're subscribing different application, you're struggling how to justify your value, I think it's a good time for you to restart to think about moving things back to on-premises. And at the same time, with the collaboration of Fujitsu and NVIDIA, we make sure everything can be started very, very smoothly. And from a software stack or even from a hardware perspective, there are people and partners here to help you to make sure everything deployed in the right way. So again, from a storage or maybe data management perspective, we want to make sure our data are stored in a secure way. We want to make sure we're enjoying the high performance, especially with the very good GPU platform, with the very good storage platform here. So just again, visit netapp.com to make sure you're seeing our newest technology and newest updates of our product, and stay tuned with our collaboration with Fujitsu and NVIDIA.
Great. Okay. Thanks both of you for taking your time and appearing in the podcast. Look, from my point of view, I think with large language models and AI taking off in the last few years, this provides like a really great platform for people to test out a lot of things, particularly with Gen AI. I know a lot of our customers are thinking about building their own domain-specific models. This is a really good platform to do it. And even from an inferencing point of view, if you want to run your own private LLM, private large language model, this platform is perfect for it. We have a partnership with Cohere. It's one of those large language model providers. And we can run this on the platform. It can be completely air-gapped. No calls from that you make in the platform will go out to the cloud or anything. So it's perfect for a lot of use cases like defense or healthcare and so on and so forth. So that's all we have in this episode. Thanks for listeners for tuning in. And until next time, goodbye.